In a time where it seems that the censorship of entertaining but polarizing voices is now commonplace, I'm reminded of one particular show that has garnered a reputation for being a polarizing mix itself, of mind-numbing poison for the impressionable brain, and a legitimately genius platform to convey relatable concepts of the real world. Of course I'm talking about SpongeBob SquarePants, and the infamous banned episode, Midlife Crustacean. I'm aware this episode ban happened a while ago, but I haven't really seen anyone talk in detail about the issues it uncovers. Here's a short recap. We see Mr. Krabs waking up in the middle of what seems to be an endless cycle of self-apathy and dread for the day that we can only assume has been going on for years. But today in particular, he is reminded by everyone he encounters just how old he really is. After overhearing a conversation between SpongeBob and Patrick about the crazy night they're about to have, Mr. Krabs steps in and asks to join in on the fun. What follows is a sequence of events that SpongeBob and Patrick consider to be unhinged hijinks, and what Mr. Krabs considers, well, lame. Doesn't sound so bad, right? Well, the real reason this got banned happens in the last 2 minutes, with what is formerly known as the panty raid scene. For those who don't know, after being called lame babies, SpongeBob and Patrick clue Mr. Krabs in on one final score of the night, where they proceed to sneak into someone's house and fool around in their drawers. This house happens to belong to Mrs. Krabs, who then grounds Ol Eugene for the rest of the night. Is it starting to make more sense why this episode got banned? Well, let me tell you why it actually makes no sense at all. However, instead of complaining about how the censorship is BS and isn't even that bad, I'm going to break down what this moment tells us about the absolute most important theme in all of storytelling: context. So what is context, and why is it important? The way I define context is anything that gives light to the intended meaning of the speaker or the story. It's so important because without context and our ability to observe, analyze, and retain context clues, we would never understand or appreciate the subtlety that makes a story a story. We're allowed to have our own perspective of each story, but with context, we're able to see it from another point of view than just our own. If we are unable to even attempt to view a story with the perspective of the writer, we may as well write our own stories because it defeats the entire point of consuming any story at all. But why is this important to know in an episode where a crab plays around with his mom's underwear? I will say, I find it interesting that after being on the air for over 18 years, an episode that hasn't been edited or changed at all is now deemed inappropriate for children. This is coming from a show with swear words being the sole plot point of an episode.
Hey, Patrick, how the are ya?
Pretty good, SpongeBob.
Or assault on the elderly being encouraged by the general public of Bikini Bottom. There is even a moment where SpongeBob hints at a literal prison joke, for lack of a more descriptive term. But I'm getting carried away. Like I said, this video isn't about my personal complaints of the matter, but these references do bring up a good point. It's objectively true, whether you like the jokes or not, that episodes with moments like these are still on the air for some specific reason. Rather, there isn't a specific reason for them to have been censored, even if they are arguably just as bad or worse than the underwear scene in question. Why is that? Are cursing and direct 18+ references any worse for the mind of a child than what we see in Midlife Crustacean? Well, the answer to that is, it depends. Get ready, because I'm about to say the word context a whole lot more. It depends on the context of each individual situation. It depends on the context of the overall message the writer is intending to convey. It depends on the context of the relevant history the show has and its relation to its other episodes. And it especially depends on the merit the show has earned through its reputation as a source of entertainment, storytelling, and lesson teaching. With this word salad in mind, let me tell you exactly what SpongeBob SquarePants is. SpongeBob SquarePants is an extremely versatile show that gives all the power to the viewer. You can watch and be entertained, in your feels, contemplative, it really doesn't matter, but the choice is for each individual viewer. And that is the most important thing I have ever learned from SpongeBob. The context of every little thing I'm consuming in the instance of each episode gives me the power to take things away from what I watch, rather than absorb what others are afraid of me taking away. I wouldn't say moments like this are directly inappropriate for kids because every episode in the golden era of SpongeBob assists viewers of all ages with viewing the show however they see fit. Don't we want to empower kids to critically think and make decisions for themselves, rather than lead by a poor example of fear and one-sided thinking? If we disallow kids from seeing and learning about things through their own perspectives, we are automatically stating that we don't have faith in our youth. I often make the claim that SpongeBob is an intelligent show. While there are countless characteristics that prove this claim, like its relatability and jokes that bypass us as kids but hit during adulthood, the primary indication of its intelligence is its ability to give context that has a strong balance between its clarity and its need for interpretation. The banning of midlife crustacean teaches us multiple valuable lessons. One is that censoring something that may be offensive or could possibly be taken poorly isn't automatically good. This is because of the second lesson, which is essentially that in the pursuit of knowledge and understanding each other, context is everything. When you really think about it, context feels endless. There is always another perspective that we have never thought of that affects how we view things or at least forces us to refer back to our own experience. And that's why context is so beautiful. I'm sure in a year from now, I'll encounter a new perspective on why this episode was banned that causes me to think about how it relates to my point of view. Unfortunately, to be blunt, censorship is inevitable, but I don't think we should let moments like these cause us to feel bad or ashamed of how we view life. Our individual perspectives are valuable to our personal growth, as well as the growth of whomever we offer our perspective. Midlife Crustacean and SpongeBob as a whole teach us to think for ourselves. Our ability to critically think for the pursuit of knowledge is a part of our identity that we all deserve to have. Midlife Crustacean and SpongeBob as a whole teach us to think for ourselves, and that is the most important thing I ever learned from SpongeBob. Thanks for watching.